Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. And today we're going to be breaking down US30, especially since there were a lot of moves last week, and some of the things that I talked about last week played out perfectly. So we want to make sure that we continue that trend and be able to capitalize on this particular market. So let's go ahead and do our top-down analysis. And if you're not subscribed to this channel, then go ahead and subscribe so that way you don't miss out on anything. Boom. Okay, there we go. All right, cool. So now if we take a look at US30 on the weekly time frame, we do see some really strong bullish movement last week, this week, and I'm expecting for this to potentially continue next week. I say potentially because obviously we never really know, and the fact that this is now pretty much an all-time high for this particular market. So, and when price makes all-time highs, sometimes there's a higher probability for it to come back down, retest the level, and then shoot back up. So looking at the weekly level, I am seeing a really strong support right here, also resistance, but let's go down to the daily time frame and just get a little bit more detail before we mark it off. If we zoom in again on this daily time frame, then we can see that this support level that we saw on the weekly time frame has a lot of things going on with it. So basically, I like to focus on the most recent price action. And what I'm going to do is mark off this little support level right here. I'm actually going to drag it over a little bit. And just keep in mind that we're on a daily time frame, so we don't want these really big blocks on smaller time frames. We want to keep them really thin on the higher time frames, and it'll look perfect when we go down to the lower time frames. So I'm marking off this most recent support on the daily. I'm going to copy this. Oops, not that. I'm going to copy this. Control C, Control V. So let's go ahead and mark off this resistance up here, because we have the lowest point before it shot up, and then we have this highest point right here, and then we also see that price tapped into the zone as well. So this is a really good resistance level, especially because price rejected 1, 2, 3 times on the daily time frame. And then if we look at the support level, we see that price bounced 1, 2, and then there's kind of a gap here, but almost 3 times on the are on the support level down here. So I'm also seeing on the daily level another minor support level, or a little support level right about here. All right, so this right here, we see the support that has formed, and price, after it formed this small bullish candle, it formed a massive bullish candle, and then it continued to tap into this resistance. So I definitely want to make sure that I mark that level off. So let's go ahead and go down to the H4 time frame to see if we can see more data. All right, so let me just reset the view a bit here. There we go. And if you play with the axes, either the Y or the X axis, then basically, well, where the price is and where the time is down here, then you'll be able to lock this in and move it around. All right, cool. So now what I want to do is I want to refine my levels. So starting with the top, this resistance level, I do want to make this just a little bit slimmer. We still see those rejections that happen throughout here, so this is still a good level for us. And then we want to make this a little bit slimmer right there. And we still got all these rejections right here, so it's still looking great. This is looking like perfect market structure right here on the H4 time frame for US30. And then we also want to look at this support level. So I'm actually going to make this bar a little slimmer, but I'm going to bring it up a little bit, mainly because of all of these rejections that I see here. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rejections, and then a 6th one right here, and price just flew. Oh my gosh, amazing move. I caught a little bit of this move, not this entire move. So okay, still looking good off to the left. We do see, okay, just want to make sure. Okay, so we do see a lot of rejections here, but since this is the most recent price action, we want to focus on that. We may incorporate that a little bit later, but right now I'm liking what I'm seeing. And we just want to make sure that we keep it as simple as possible. actually on this H4 time frame, I am seeing something that is forming up a minor H4 level. So this could be another zone that we map out, mainly for the same reasons as the other one. We see price come up, come back, retest the zone, and then take off. So now we got 1, 2, 3 solid zones to trade from. So that's what I like to do. I like to trade from zone to zone. So that's why I mark up my charts in this manner. So let's go down to H3 time frame. All right, so now we're going to refine a little bit. Actually, I'm going to move this top one up a little bit. This is looking good, but I am going to move it closer to the bodies. We still got those wicks showing. And now for this level, I want to actually move it here, mainly because of this support level that has formed right here. So that looks a lot cleaner to me, and then this is still looking good. So let's go down to H2. All right. We zoom in. Okay, cool. So this is looking great, but this level I do want to adjust it. This level at 39,321, I want to move it so that way the top of my box is touching the body of the candle and it's covering the wicks. So it's just more of an aesthetic thing to me. I mean, you could do whatever you want, but that just works for me. Okay, so this is still looking good over here, and these are still looking great. All right, so let's go down to H1 time frame, and now we got to scoot it in a little bit, mainly because these candles are tinier and there is a lot more information. So I'm actually going to make this a little bit bigger. All right, and then let me scoot it back over. Okay, cool. So actually, I can move this in. Sometimes it's kind of hard when these boxes are really slim to make adjustments. Okay, there we go. Waiting for that so I can just scoot it in like that. All right, that looks good. I'm not even gonna mess with that. I'm just gonna do it like this. I'm just making adjustments to my boxes because H1 is one of my favorite time frames to look at. So since this is probably going to be a time frame that I may take an entry on, sometimes even M30, then I want to make sure that I'm as precise as possible on all time frames because they all build up. So, okay, that looks good. And then this still looks good, mainly because you may be looking at this, because I used to have trouble with this when I was charting as well, is okay, we have this rejection here, we have these two candles down here, we have some rejections throughout here. Should I place my box or my level below here or keep it where it's at? So one of the things that I like to keep in mind when I'm charting these things is I want to get as most touches as possible. So having my box right here, this gives me the most touches, although there's a slight gap on this one, but we obviously touch these two candles, touch all of these rejections right here, and there's a tap into here at this for this candle right here. So this still looks good to me. The only thing is that this is a fake out right here. So a fake out is basically when price in this situation looks like it's going to continue down. It closes below a zone, but then the next candle closes back into a zone. So that is considered a fake out. It's nothing really you could do. That's why it's called a fake out. So you just gotta kind of roll with it and just keep in mind that this whole thing is all about probabilities. So if you have a strategy that is maybe a 70% win rate, mine is typically 60-70, depending on what method I use, but basically there's, say it's 70%, then there's still a 30% chance that it may not work out. So it's just good to keep that in the back of your mind. That definitely helps me. So that is looking good. Okay, cool, yeah. Okay, yeah, so I like this. So as far as my game plan for this week, so this is like this whole zone. Let me draw this. So this whole zone right here is all a rejection zone right here. And this rejection level is pretty much at the height. So around 39,870 is kind of the median of my little zone right here. So I believe price has the potential for next week to come back down. I don't know if it'll come back down all the way here, but come back down into this 39,297, roughly 39,300 zone, and then come back up to here. So that'll be something that I'll be looking for. And We do have some consolidation over here to this side. I remember when I was looking to take my trade, I had to wait literally days in order for it to break out of the consolidation for me to take a trade. So let me just mark off this consolidation zone just so that way when I'm looking at this, I know um, that this is, or what this is. So this consolidation zone right here, let's zoom in and scoot over. Okay, cool. So the reason why I'm calling this a consolidation zone, and I also like to put a little box here as well. Probably didn't need the pink line, but I'm gonna keep it anyway. So pretty much why I'm calling this a consolidation zone is because price is basically not doing anything. Um, and I remember waiting and waiting to take my trade, and then I saw this candle. I saw this candle. Actually, I didn't see this candle. I saw it in. I didn't see it when it was happening, but I saw it in the morning. And this is at 11 o'clock at night for me, so I'm not trading at that time. And then this candle popped up at 4, also not awake at that time. But I did find an opportunity right in here, pretty much when price started to, at the 7 o'clock candle at around 39,500. That's about the time I took my trade and I came up. I looked to the left, I saw a rejection right here, so let me draw that out right here. See, this is why I like the H1 time frame. All right, I saw this right here and I was like, oh, it's getting close, but it's not looking like it's gonna make it. And then I got out early for a profit. And I'm so glad because this next candle right here just totally reversed. And yeah, it did come up later and that would have been a really nice move, but I wasn't looking at the charts at that time. I think I was in a meeting or something and it just took off. So anyway, so this whole area, I remember waiting and waiting and waiting, and finally it took off. Okay, so I got a lot of stuff here. Actually, I'm gonna replace that line with a little box, just so that way it's more clear to me. So these are two different zones, and I was waiting for it to come into this zone before I took my trade, and that's exactly what I did. So I missed this one, although I did have an alert, but it's all good. So anyway, so I envision, let me drag this out. So I said all that to say, I envision for the upcoming week that price may come back. It may not come all the way back to this level. That's why I said that before. But what it could possibly do is to bounce off of one of these levels. So it could come down here and then possibly come back up, because since this is a strong resistance level, I believe that price is going to retest this again. So that's one idea right there. And then if we drag this out, let's see, yeah, drag this out to about here, then price has the potential, once again, to come from this high level and maybe come all the way back down here and then try to trade back up to here. Or it could come all the way down here and then possibly bounce up. Or, oops, bounce up, I forgot to close that. Bounce up, or it could do a whole bunch of other things. So pretty much, obviously we don't know what could happen, but we have to think about the possibilities and the scenarios in our head when we're coming up with our game plan for the next trading week or next trading day, depending on how you do things. So pretty much in this market, since it's pretty much a lot of strong bullish momentum, I'm only looking for buys. I'm not really looking for sells. Hypothetically, if you wanted to take a counter trend trade, this would be the best area right here at 39,000, roughly 300. So let me just mark this right here, and I would be looking for like some sort of candle confirmation or a pattern or something that I've seen before. Not necessarily chart pattern, I'm mostly focused on the candles, but something here, break and retest, something in order for me to feel confident in order to take the trade at this zone, or at least take a sell. So let me mark this off, because this would be the only area for me that I would be looking for a counter trend trade. I was like, yeah, possibly up here too at 39,719. Especially since I'm anticipating price to kind of come down to one of these different levels and bounce up. Obviously, price can do whatever it wants, but there's a support, a little support right here. So I actually do want to draw this off. This support is at 39,719 kind of zone. Let's see, that's looking good to me. So pretty much counter trend trade from this level to this level could be nice, but like I said, I'm not interested in it. Only if it's down here. That would give me a lot more confidence in taking that trade. Yeah, and then of course price could bounce up or and bust up through here, and we have no recent or past price data to let us know where price could potentially go. So we just gotta wait for that one. So actually, let me move my little. Actually, I'm gonna keep that right there, and then I'm gonna draw another bubble right here because this is a strong level to me, and I want to make sure that that is prominent in my mind when I come back to this chart next week or when the market opens back up. All right, cool. So this is pretty much my analysis and my game plan for US30 for the upcoming week. So if you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.